Howdy Ags. Welcome to Aggie Growth Hacks, the podcast sponsored by the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M that is dedicated to highlighting fast-growing Aggie entrepreneurs, learning how they overcame growth challenges with creative growth hacks, and connecting them with other entrepreneurs in the Aggie network. I'm your host, Greg Martin, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2001.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Hunter, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998. Whoop!
Well, we got a little story for you, Ags. Mike Watts, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998. You like that, Chris?
Love it.
Mike is a multiple Aggie 100 winner, not only with his current company, LoveHandle, but with other companies. And Mike is someone that knows what it's like to find a market need and develop a product specifically to fill that need. His story, transparency, and wisdom really come through in this interview, and we hope that you enjoy it.
So pass it back and listen up to Mike as he shares some good bull about his business.
Welcome back, Ags. This is Greg Martin and Chris Hunter with Aggie Growth Hacks, and today we have got one of the most special episodes. Mike Watts, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998, is here, and Mike is a serial entrepreneur. But really, what he's going to talk about today is his journey from being the founder and CEO of LoveHandle. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Greg. Chris, really appreciate the time and opportunity.
Well, we've already gotten to know each other a little bit through our conversation before we started rolling, but really wanted to kick this off and ask you, what is your number one favorite Aggie memory?
Well, honestly, I'd have to say that, I loved Bonfire. I loved just the camaraderie of being together, living on campus in the dorms and making friends and meeting my wife there. But my favorite Aggie memory was later, actually, after I left, when my startup was honored in a top 10 finish in the Aggie 100. And I was able to be there. I didn't know what place I was going to get. We were just sitting there. I had no idea. And had my family around. I mean, my grandmother, my kids, my wife, my parents, and we're all there. And to get to sort of see that as a culmination and a recognition for all the work and risk and just effort that it took to get to that point was a proud moment to stand there at the end of Kyle Field and overlook that and take a photo and, get to meet the dean and everything. It was just such a special moment in my life.
Wow.
That's super cool.
That's really cool. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about LoveHandle. And by the way, I love that name. But tell us, a little bit about LoveHandle and, what is it?
Maybe,
why are you passionate
what
about
it? Let's describe that first.
Yeah. Shameless marketing with that name choice. But what LoveHandle is, it's a stick-on grip for the back of electronic devices, particularly smartphones. So I always say that, when these companies issue you these phones, they're incomplete. It's like they sell you a car with no wheels. And so really having to hold these pieces of glass and carry them around and not drop them and wheel them in every direction throughout our daily life is a challenge. So our goal here at LoveHandle is to offer products to the consumer that will allow them to elevate that experience with the smartphone device, to sort of get back to reality and stop being a slave to carrying their phone, to go hands-free, but not get in the way, to be able to go in your pocket. So our latest release, we're really, really proud of the LoveHandle Pro that just came out about 6 months ago. Yeah, it's a low profile elastic grip, but has an integrated kickstand that allows you to prop your phone up in portrait mode very stably, so you can tap it, not going to fall over. Also landscape mode, and it has internal magnets that allows you to stick your phone to a toolbox or to any car magnetic mount or whatever, the side of your car, wherever you want to do it. So it's really great for video recording and just going hands-free wherever you go. We do customized prints and we do it all. We build everything here in Texas. We built out a facility. It would have been easier to offshore it, but we decided to take the hard route, and we developed our own automation equipment and developed our own way to make the product in-house. And we can customize it with any logo or design or prints or patterns. And so yeah, really, it's a fun product to get to sell. We always tell people that, get a handle on the device you love, because we all seem to love them and we carry them around everywhere we go. So that's what LoveHandle is.
Very cool. So I'm going to jump completely off script. This is so interesting. So did you start off immediately knowing that you were going to customize and offer that? Because, as a startup, to be able to say, hey, I've got to be lean and mean, but that's also something that can be customized very easily.
Yeah, honestly, no. My previous startup, I had found great success on television. So I was the guy on infomercials. I shot and produced infomercial for our aftermarket weed eater head, which is the one we won the Aggie 100 top 10 twice on. And that was a really successful product, and also filled the bill for an aftermarket product for an incomplete unit, like a weed trimmer. But the LoveHandle, I was just like, oh, I'm going to put it on TV. It's going to sell great because everybody. But this was back in 2014, and nobody stuck things on their phone. So I learned a hard lesson real fast. One, don't order a $500,000 product from China without really giving them specifications on what you need and what it ought to be like. My ego got caught up, really is what happened. And so I ordered all this product in. I bought all this airtime, produced a commercial, and then it absolutely flopped. The product came in completely inferior. Ended up having to just throw it away. So we lost $500,000 right out of the gates. Pushed it in the dump. And I didn't even have a way to recycle it or anything. So we had to just throw it all away. And we really started out of the gates stumbling. And then we decided, that gave us the resolve, though, to decide that we want to be able to make our product in-house. We want to make sure, put our hands on it and make sure that our customers are getting a quality product that lives up to our brand. And then that took us down the path to say, well, you know what? Now we can customize because we can do small batch, and overseas won't do small batch. And so now I can make 10 or 1 or 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever of any design and pattern. I could do it really fast. So that gives us a competitive advantage.
My question then is, like, where are you located? Where is the manufacturing located? And, like, how many employees and stuff like that do you have?
Yeah, so we're located in ROSHARON, Texas, which is just south of Houston. I grew up just south of here, down in Angleton, and we built our own facility here. We're in a 10,000 square foot building that was previously just surrounded by, had a dirt road out front and cows around us. But now, suburbia is headed this way, and now we've got an Exxon across the street, and it's growing. But we've got 35 full-time employees now, and it's growing quickly. We're adding people, it seems like, every week as we expand. And so it's been a journey. And so now it's managing people across manufacturing and marketing and sales and admin and fulfillment and product development and all those sorts of things. And I've got my finger in all of those along the way.
Wow. But Mike, when did you found LoveHandle?
2014.
So 2014 to 2021, you grew from 1 employee to 35s. That's a huge amount of growth, super fast. What historically has been, not counting last year, 2020 had its own set of challenges with COVID, but not counting last year, what really was the biggest challenge to your growth? I mean, it sounds like you figure out the manufacturing stuff really quick, importing it. But what's your biggest challenge and how did you overcome it?
Honestly, our biggest challenge was competition. There was a single product out there that launched the same month that we did. And it wasn't even invented to be a phone grip. It was invented for wrapping earbud cords around. You could probably figure out what I'm talking about. Yeah. And so along the way, we pushed into retail. We got into Office Depot real early, and side by side, they crushed us because they had gone viral on YouTube, whatever the heck that was back in the time, right? They had partnered up with influencers when nobody knew what an influencer was outside of a celebrity in Hollywood. So credit to them. If you ask the owner, and I'm a friend of his, that they got lucky. They got one single product in the right person's hand, and next thing you know, they see it on American Idol, it's on the red carpet in Hollywood, and it becomes a phenomenon everywhere because it's very visible on the back of your phone. Honestly, though, it was a blessing for us because it allowed us the chance to really build out our manufacturing. We would not have been able to do it that quickly, and it also allowed us to finish development of our product and build out a huge consumer base in the business B2B space. So, I've made LoveHandles now for every brand you can think of, including Texas A&M and the Foundation and Aggie Entrepreneur Club and all kind of stuff, but also Ford and Toyota and Budweiser and everyone else too. So it's been cool to be able to do that. But now they've sort of, like the pet rock kind of went away. They are sort of fading as well. And so now I really feel prepared to hit the gap. We're in a good position to go put some gas on it and push towards meeting the big audacious goals that I have.
Nice. That's cool. So you know, in the past year, obviously the entire world has had to change, right? What has been the biggest challenge that you've had to face and overcome in this past year? And, what really caused it all, do you think, besides COVID?
Yeah, well, a year ago now, about overnight, literally overnight, like 85% of our business last March 2020 was promotional products. So that was everything we did. And most of those people were going to give them away at trade shows, in-person events. So literally when quarantine happened, every order we had in-house was canceled. Even the stuff we had built, they didn't no longer wanted it. And we got no new orders. We're just now starting to get those orders again as they've announced in-person events. So we lost 85% of our revenue overnight.
Wow.
But then we had to basically reinvent ourselves and find something that would work to keep the ship afloat. And so we did what everybody talks about, right? The pivot. And we pivoted to online sales. We really focused on building out our portfolio in Amazon and serving that account well, because that was still thriving. We tried to bring more people to our website and invite to, build relationships with our consumers, and so that we can sell to them more and more often. And then we became more lean. Honestly, we became more efficient. We put systems in place to make sure that our operations were running as lean as possible. We weren't wasting any money. And I'd be lying to you if I said we made money last year. We lost a lot of money, and I had to sell a lot of my personal assets to keep us afloat, to keep my team employed. But and we did get some help from the government via PPP and some SBA loans. But all that to say that we're still here, we're still sitting at the table, and I'm really excited about what's to come in the future.
The thing that I hear with every single entrepreneur that we interview and we talk with is just the tenacity and the never quit attitude, and just that failure is not an option. And last year, for a lot of businesses, it was a kick in the gut and a hard one. And you're just like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's pull the team together. I loved, we've had a couple entrepreneurs that really focus on being lean and Six Sigma and stuff like that. So let's dig into that a little bit. What were some things that you did that really made yourself more efficient? And was that something that the leadership kind of drove, or did you pull all your people together and say, hey, we gotta work together and we gotta be better?
Yeah, it started with me, and a bit of a reflective moment in this very room. There's a little studio that I built on site, and I remember sitting in here, and I have a whiteboard on the wall over here, and writing down, deciding that, okay, well, what do we do in our business? If I'm going to have to reinvent ourselves, what is it that we actually do? And so from the customer standpoint back to the company, I tried to understand, like, what's the value we're bringing to them? And then what are the processes that we have to have in place to be able to deliver upon that value? And so I was able to then build my company without any people on the chart. I just said, we have a manufacturing process, right? And we have a fulfillment process. We have a customer journey and satisfaction process in the dialogue and communication. We have an art design process, and then a marketing and general process. So I took all those down, and then I tried to build our company as a straw man, and then go back and shuffle the deck with my team members. And a lot of people ended up in different roles that they were in. Some people didn't make the cut, honestly, and we had to bring in replacement people. What it did, I think it's like a refining moment for us. It took us through the fire, it refined us, and made us into a better, more scalable company. So it really is a blessing for us to go through that process, because before we were just so busy, it was chaotic. I didn't have an inventory system. Now I have an inventory system. I didn't have an online workflow that was optimized, and now we do. And so there's a lot of benefits, I think, for the moment and opportunity that we had to take a pause and also to finish the development for the Pro. None of that stuff would have happened in the chaos that we had going on before. So that's what COVID did for us. And I think that's a trait of entrepreneurs you'll find too, is that, just unabashed optimism. Like, we're just always going to find that one drop of water in the glass. At least there's a drop, it's not completely empty. And so it's really an asset, because the more time and effort you spend on whether negative people, negative news, negative attitude, negative outlook, or whatever, you're just wasting resources. And so we really just focused on, well, what can we use this time for? How can we become better? How can we survive and not run out of money? And those are all the things we try to tackle during COVID.
Yeah. Wow. That's so inspirational to, hear you say that. And that's one of the things that over and over and over and over again that we've heard from other entrepreneurs that have pivoted, right? That their businesses were affected, and essentially you're making lemonade out of the lemons that are given to you, right? And I applaud you. I'm an entrepreneur as well, and it's it's the past year and a half, and we're not going to sugarcoat it on anybody. It's been tough, for every single business out there. So that being said, right, looking forward to the future in the next 5 to 10 years, what is your big, hairy, audacious goal, your BHAG?
Yeah, I know exactly what that is. I have goals that I look at every morning, and anyone out there listening, I really encourage you to write your goals down and review them every day, and set your daily activities and make sure they align with your bigger goals. But for me, I want to create LoveHandle into a brand that's known for creating more love in the world. And that can be through products, but also through, we're doing a lot of fundraising collaborations and through the product line. But on the way, some of the big marker I'm looking for is $1 billion valuation for the company. And we have that as a real possibility based on the size of market and what our competitor has achieved. And along the way, the other sort of tangible marker is that I want to get our product onto at least 100 million phones within 5 years. And that's, all of those are kind of tied together. So far we have sold around, I think we're up to 8 million so far. So we got around 42 million or 98 million, Aggie math, 92 million to go. But I think we're doing the types of things that will prepare us to meet those goals.
And probably helping with the systems and all the things that you just talked about, that the chaos of success was preventing you from improving on. That now you've built those systems so that as things as the events and as trade shows and all that stuff comes back, you can handle it.
Yep. Yeah. Everything seems to be running pretty seamlessly lately. So I think it's credit to the effort that my team put in to help, it's because it's hard work to establish processes and, have people own and be accountable for the results. But you have to do that. That's the only way to scale. And at this point, it becomes an exercise in human capital. Before it was, financial capital or just product development capital and just getting off the ground at all. But now that we're up and off the ground and flying, now it becomes an exercise in attracting the right top talent to put into the team that's going to fit the culture, that's going to fit, our ethics and believe in where we're going. Most all of my top employees came here with a pay cut from somewhere else. That's actually a defining factor because they see the vision. Wow. They want to work with us and me and be part of something bigger and have an environment where they can thrive and learn. And that's really what I'm focused on creating.
Managing your human capital is the key to growth. So
Mike, right before we got on here, we were talking a little bit about your connection with Shark Daymond, right? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah, well, Daymond John is what has for a long time has been a mentor to me from afar. And when Shark Tank came out, I think the entire entrepreneurial community celebrated, and the fact that this was now on nightly TV or once a week TV, we could sit down as a family and watch pitches and watch the American dream come alive. And so I just felt like it was my destiny that I was going to go on this show and I was going to pitch it and I was going to get a deal with the shark and it was going to be Daymond. And so we showed up at the Consumer Electronics Show. We were there exhibiting anyway, and they had an open call for Shark Tank auditions. And so I got up there at 4 a.m., stood in line all morning to get a wristband. And then my father and I, who's my co-founder, went and pitched the sharks, or it wasn't the sharks, it was the producers. And we went and pitched the producers, and we got through the first round.
All
Like,
right,
so we like
yeah.
it. And
there you go.
so then we got into the second round of auditions, which was the long form, handwritten blue ink 100-page application and a 15-minute video to try to showcase ourselves. You should have seen some of the outtakes from there. They're hilarious. But we sent those in, and about 2 weeks later, got a notice back saying, "Hey, thanks for applying, but you didn't make the cut. We're not going to put you on Shark Tank." And we were just absolute crushed that we didn't make it on. Well, a year goes by. They have open calls again next year. We can do it again. We made it through the first round. The second round, exact same result, decline in the second round. And I was just crushed. I was like, man, I just felt like that was like what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to be on Shark Tank, walk that carpet down, do a deal, be tough and tell them about all my revenue and my valuation and everything. And it just didn't happen that way. But one day I was watching my website, and I see an order come through my website for the Shark Group, not Shark Tank, the Shark Group. Well, looked it up, and that's Daymond John's company in New York City that does branding and marketing. And they were ordering my product. I looked at the order, and it was a phone number on there, picked it up, and I called. I'm like, "Hey, it's calling for Daymond." And they laughed. They're like, "You can't talk to Daymond." And I was like, "Well, I'll talk to you then." And so I built a relationship with Simone, who answered the phone. I sent her some product and built a little bit of a rapport there. And then I started figuring out who all the other people were there, and I started sending more product out. And then I started making some custom ones for Daymond's book, Power of Broke. Sent a bunch of those in, and then he'd come out with another book. And I just try to add value back to him. Well, then sure enough, one day the phone rings, and it's Daymond, and he's like, "Hey,
no way, he's calling
Mike."
you?
Yeah, he called me. And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, I don't know how you did all this, but everybody here loves you. Everybody loves your product. And I don't do this because, I got deals coming at me all the time, but we really like you, and we really like this product, and we'd like to do a deal with you. And I was like, "Oh, that's great." So then I go into my Shark Tank pitch, and he's actually like, no. He said, "I'm looking for a creative deal." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, how about if I can, earn my way into the company?" I was like, "Are you not going to give me any money?" He goes, "Well, I think I could bring more than money." So, and long story short, we ended up making a deal where he would double our sales. If he could double our sales within a period of time, that he would have an option on an equity piece of our company. And it took him just 6 months. He put me on the Home Shopping Network, on Good Morning America. We were on The View, like all the stuff that easy connections for him.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, our sales spike, blow up. He does the shark effect. And the cool thing about the whole deal is that it was a relationship with me and him first before we did the deal. So now, years later, we're still very close friends. He comes fishing here with us, and I get to, he does speaking gigs. I just show up and hang out backstage, and I haven't actually got to go back to the Shark Tank set because of COVID. I was supposed to go right when they were filming for that, but with COVID, they wouldn't let me. But now that it's opening back up, and today they actually announced season 13 is going to happen. So pretty excited that I will get the chance to go back and go backstage and be there on Shark Tank. So really excited to see this story come about. But that's how I did a deal with a shark without going on Shark Tank.
Wow. That's so cool.
So I hear stories and anecdotes about, the sharks are, they have a persona, but afterward, in person, there's on-air Daymond, and then there's real Daymond, and he just seems to be, I follow him on LinkedIn and everything. And so he seems to be someone that's very genuine, very open. It sounds like that's true to form, that's actually coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just the most genuine, down to earth guy. And, I've met all the sharks now, and I'm glad. I'm not saying anything bad about any of them, but Daymond is the most just like us guy. He would be the most easy to hang out with and have a conversation with. Mark's a great guy too, but he's pretty sure he's pretty smart, and he is, but Daymond's just a whole lot more approachable, and it's really a lot of fun to be around. So I got this crazy story when we were in Vegas. Daymond, we were there for CES actually later on. So that's like the cycle. Anyway, Daymond's like, "Hey, let's go to dinner." So I went to dinner. I just showed up. Real nice restaurant. Walk in and sit down. It's Daymond and his team, and there's an empty seat. And I was like, "Oh, well, who's coming? They're like, oh, you'll see. And sure enough, Mark Cuban walks in and sits down next to me. And so for 2 hours, we're sitting there chatting it up with Daymond and Mark. Mark's keep reaching over. He's like, oh, I'm not going to order anything, but he keeps eating off my plate. And anyway, he was great. And then we ended up all getting in a Suburban, and we're driving down the Las Vegas Strip, and they got this driver that's a friend of theirs, and he's like an aspiring rapper. So he's up there rapping the song that he wrote called "I'm a Winner," and he's up there, "I'm a winner, I'm a winner, you're a winner, you're a winner." And then Mark Cuban's up in the front, like passenger seat, looking back at all the rest of us crowded in the back of the Suburban. and Damon's like, "Mark, are you a winner?" And Mark's like, "I'm a winner, I'm a winner." And I didn't even know where we were going. We ended up at Jamie Foxx's mansion, hang out with Jamie Foxx, and Wesley Snipes was there. And it was just the most wild night ever. It's so much fun. None of that would have ever been possible, right? If it hadn't been for entrepreneurship and just being bold. And like I said, we were saying earlier, positive persistence and just putting yourself out there. You unlock all these unforeseen and unavailable possibilities by doing that. So.
That's awesome. Man, Mike, that's awesome. Man. So I didn't realize you were the inspiration for the movie Hangover. So
yeah, I got a new tooth. So I'm good.
Yeah, did y'all hang out with Mike Tyson too?
Yeah, no, but hey, I was gonna get right before COVID. They're good friends, and he had me. I was gonna fly out and hang out with Mike on his ranch, but I was gonna go hang out with Mike Tyson. I was definitely gonna get the photo with him, like knocking me out. You know?
There you go.
But yeah, it's funny.
So thank you so much, Mike, for sharing everything that you have for us. Let's roll into the lightning round. So real quick hits on all these questions. I'm curious, you are a serial entrepreneur, so you probably constantly reading, constantly growing. What is your favorite hack?
Learn from others. There's been plenty of other people that have done it before us and are doing it now. And so I am absolutely constantly trying to seek out wisdom from others that are finding success today or found success 200 years ago. And so I feel like I have to constantly make myself better every day. And I don't know if that's a hack, but that's really a real focus of mine to move myself forward, because that's the only way to get where I want to go.
Love it. So now, what is one book, podcast, YouTube channel, whatever, right, that we can share with the Aggie entrepreneur community?
Well, I'm going to give you a book and a podcast. So the book is How to Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
And it's written back in the 30s, but still very, very applicable today. And what you'll learn in this book is that it really all comes down to mindset. They could dig into like how some of the greatest achievers in the world achieved what they were setting out to do. And it was so much to do with mindset and really focusing on where they wanted to be, manifesting it and just making it real. And that's so, it sounds high and flighty to so many people, but it really is that simple. You manifest it in your mind and then you go create it. And I mean, I think that God kind of enables us to do that. If we're willing to believe it and do the work, then he'll open the doors for you. And then the podcast is something that's more tactical to today's marketing. And I don't care what kind of company you got, you need to have good marketing. And that's done today. Marketing is social media today. So there's this podcast out there called Social Media Marketing Podcast. Very easy to remember. Mike Stelzner, a good friend of mine, that produces it. And that he brings on some of the guests out there that will teach you how to create viral TikTok videos, how to run ads on Facebook and Instagram, how to do pre-roll and advertisements on YouTube, where the eyes are today, because that's where you really need to be. Finding your customers is not where they're at, and that is where they're at.
So Mike, we know that the Aggie Network is so valuable, and every single one of us has multiple stories about how Ags have helped us out. Who in the Aggie Network do you want to say thank you to?
There's been a lot of them, but there's the professor, Greg Stark, that was always great to me when he was a teacher of mine. I was in the College of Ag. I got a degree in Ag Systems Management. And after switching from engineering, he really encouraged me, because I was only like 2 classes away from graduating with Ag Engineering. environmental engineer is what I wanted to be. But Greg told me that it was okay for me to go, because I decided I really didn't want to be an engineer. I got all that way and I was like, I don't really want to be an engineer. I want to know more about business and things, marketing and things like that. So he said, no, it's okay. Like, switch. And so they actually custom built me a degree before. It's a real degree now, but it was kind of a hybrid degree that he built to where a lot of my credits would still apply, but he made it okay. And then since then, he's still there, invited me to come back. And so now I get to teach entrepreneurship at A&M.
Wow.
And, you know, he's got me as I'm the kickoff, the lead for the entrepreneur series every year. And I get to come back and share my story with students. And so he's just kind of been that mainstay for me. He's always been a resource anytime I need anything. But, you know, there's 100, there's 1,000, 10,000 Gregs out there that are making impacts at our university, whether they're teaching or in the administration or like a former student. But the Aggie network is real, it's alive, it's powerful, and it's amazing.
That's awesome. Love it.
Truth.
So how can the Aggie network get in touch with you and support you moving forward?
So I'm on social media. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Mike Watts, or on LinkedIn, just look for Mike Watts, Texas A&M. And on my website, I'm Mike at lovehandle.com. If anybody wants to shoot me an email, don't put me on a spam list, but you can send me an email and reach out. But I'm all about trying to help other entrepreneurs as much as I can. You know, time is a very valuable resource, but if there's any way I can help you, I most certainly will.
And Mike, so you talked about wanting to be able to kind of give back as part of the mission of LoveHandle. So for anyone either in a corporation or I'm part of a not-for-profit here locally in Bryan College Station, that I think that this is going to be, we want to use you as we give stuff. So can you do all the orders and everything? Is it all online? Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning more about utilizing LoveHandle as a vehicle, and I got to say, I mean, it's biased, I guess, but it really is one of the most effective marketing tools out there, because ultimately, think about our goal is to get people to remember us and think about us in our message and our interaction with them. So by putting something with your logo and a gift on the back of their phone, they're going to touch it every single day. Other people are going to ask about it. It creates the conversations that us marketers want others to create when we're not there. And so, I encourage you to try it. It's locally made. It's something to be proud of. And we always have a give back. So lovehandle.com, that's our main site. Lovehandlepromo.com is where you would go to actually look at custom printed volume pricing and things like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create Aggie growth hacks as a coupon code. Just to help you guys out, I'm going to do 10% off. So anybody that puts Aggie growth hacks in lovehandlepromo.com will get 10% off their order, just because you're now in the Aggie network. So
that's fun. Man, it's super bonus. Mike, you are the first one that's given back to our community that way. So thank you so much. That's great. Well, Mike, I can't tell you enough. I love your story. I love the enthusiasm, and I love the open-handedness. I mean, you really were very transparent throughout this entire conversation. Thank you for allowing us to learn from you. And I hope that Ags, if you want to get in touch with Mike, I mean, he is very accessible. Reach out to him, learn from him, or if you've got stuff that you need promotion, make sure that you do that. So thank you so much for coming, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Greg. Chris, it's been a pleasure.
How about that, Ags? Did you love that or what? Where I did that LoveHandle? Yeah. So there were some super valuable hacks that Mike shared with us. What was your favorite, Greg?
Well, the first one, I love the name. I mean, that is a really great name. And actually, y'all need to check out lovehandle.com and see the product. But I was so impressed with Mike's authenticity and his transparency. I really liked the part where he talked about how he retooled in 2020. And what I wrote down was the chaos of success sometimes overshadows things that need to be corrected. And, he was just talking about how things were just blowing up and they were so successful and they were just rocking and rolling. And before COVID hit and the slowdown that was caused by it, he didn't have the time or the ability to build systems, to invest into people, to look at his entire operation from customer interaction to receipt of the product, and to say, how can we systematize this? How can we become efficient? How can we do that? And so I really loved how he had the courage to manage through 2020 in such a way that it built the foundation for him to really scale, to be able to meet that BHAG of 100 million love handles on phones. So that was super cool to see him go through that and to hear his story. What about you? What did you take away, Chris?
So, just like always, I 100% agree with you, right? And love, and you know what? We've heard that time and time and time again, and I mentioned that, right? But we've heard that from other entrepreneurs that this period has helped them, kind of relook at their business from a different perspective, right? Because they had that time, right, to slow down, and they were forced to slow it down. So really mine, I had several, honestly. I took so much out of that, and I agreed with them on so many different levels. The biggest one that I took out of that, and something that I have to be guilty that I look at, he said, I look at your goals daily, right?
Yeah.
And he said,
yep.
But one thing that really stuck out was look at your big goals daily as well as your small goals, right? Your stuff that's in front of you right now. So I am guilty of not looking at the big goals every single day, so that I keep what I'm doing in mind, for the future. I look at the quarterly goals, right, on a daily basis, but I don't look at those. Okay, what's my BHAG, right? What is my, if I look at that and I believe, and I'm going to start doing this, is that I'm going to look at those every single day, right? The BHAG all the way down to my 3-year goals, all the way down to my 5-year goal, my 5-year goals down to the 3-year, down to the 1 year, down to the quarter goals. I think that if you look at those every single day, it's going to manifest itself in your mind. I mean, and you're going to know exactly which direction you need to take and use that as your compass. So that was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, a whole lot of traction, a whole lot of Napoleon Hill, really good. Just lay it out there, think about it, obsess about it, and it's gonna happen. But it doesn't happen without thinking about it and then putting in the hard work, right?
Absolutely. You can think about it all day long, but if you're not doing the work, nothing's gonna matter on that, right?
Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Aggie Growth Hacks. Chris and I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you'll leave us a rating on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you found us. Be sure to check out our website, aggiegrowthhacks.com, where you can hear all of our previous episodes and connect with Chris and I. Be sure to check out our monthly hack shops, where we tackle some of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs have, and then we talk to an expert and dive deep into actionable advice to be able to accomplish that.
Aggie Growth Hacks was produced by fellow Aggies Kyle Ackerman and Ben Wiggins with Podcast Architects. We also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M University. Since 1999, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship has served as the hub of entrepreneurship for Texas A&M. If you're an Aggie entrepreneur or even a wantrepreneur, head over to their website to find a program that's right for you. Just search up McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship in Google and head over there right now. Also, be sure to head over to LoveHandle.com and use Aggie Growth Hacks as your promo code. Join us next time where we connect with another great Aggie entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter.
And I'm Greg Martin. Thanks and gig 'em.